This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good morning. Can you listen me?
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
hear me? Can I start the class? Today's class is on IUCD, intrauterine contraceptive device. It's a short answer for your homework question. See, this is the property. It's a T-shaped object placed in the uterus to prevent pregnancy. It is made up of plastic material or combination of the materials. It is very effective, safe and convenient to use, and it should be placed mostly after she completes her period, and it is extremely effective without using any hormones, and it is more than 97% effective. And this is the second most commonly used family planning method. Evolution of IUCDs. First generation, they used to use Lippis loop, for example. In second generation, copper containing IUDs they are using. In third generation is the hormone releasing progesterone containing IUCDs. These are progesterone, and you already know this name, Mirena. Levonorgestrel containing IUCD is known as Mirena. And fourth generation IUCDs, these are frameless IUCDs. For example, Gynefix, Fibroplant. Gynefix contains copper, Fibroplant contains levonorgestrel. So first generation is Lippis loop. Example, second generation copper containing IUCDs. Third are the hormone releasing IUCDs, especially the progesterone. Among them, progesterone and levonorgestrel. This progesterone is not available. Only Mirena is available now. Fourth generation are frameless IUDs, Gynefix and Fibroplant. Gynefix contains copper and Fibroplant contains levonorgestrel. There are so many categories. First, as I already told you, first generation, they are inert IUDs. These are Lippis loop or Chinese single coil ring or Maha coil, double coil rings. Examples, these are all. Ota ring, previously they used to use, but nowadays they are mostly abandoned. Next comes the copper teeth. There are various types of copper IUCDs. They differ from each other in the amount of copper. See these names: copper 200, copper 380, copper 380 3 multi-load. These numbers denote the amount of copper which are present over the device. Okay. So the modern copper containing devices contain more copper and a part of copper in the form of solid tubal sleeves rather than white. So 380A is commonest. Copper 200 is the most commonly used variety among government supply. Then copper T380A, this contains barium sulfate also, which is radio opaque. 380AZ, that is it contains silver also along with copper, and multi-load is 375. That you have to remember. This, it has flexible arms and the efficacy is more when compared to copper 200 or 200B. See, these are copper T200. It contains a vertical stem. These are made up of polyethylene, and these are the threads. These are also made up of polyethylene threads. Two threads will be present. T-shaped structure. Here the copper will be present. Here in 380A, copper is also present on the transverse stem. And this is multi-load. The structure is different and the efficacy is more. And this is the IUCD containing hormone. So this is the reservoir. The outer coat is a reservoir containing this. This consists of levonorgestrel. Okay. This is the shape of Mirena. So copper. So hormone releasing IUCDs. These are progesterone. This is not available now. Mirena is available. This is the long acting hormone, up to 5 years we can use. The mode of action, as I already told you, they prevent the sperm ascent by thickening the cervical mucus, and endometrium implantation will be hindered by making the endometrium atrophic. And not only that, anovulation will be there, and tubal motility is also impaired, and locally high progesterone levels will be present in these cases. See, it is a T-shaped polyethylene frame with a steroid reservoir. Already I told you, outer that one is the steroid reservoir which contains the hormone. Mirena contains 50 milligrams of levonorgestrel. See, this is the 52 milligrams of this. They will ask you in exam. 50. How much levonorgestrel will be present in the Mirena, and how much will be released into the uterine cavity daily? These are the two questions definitely they will ask. And what is the lifespan for it? That is 5 years. Every day it releases about 20 micrograms per day. Okay. Blood levels or levonorgestrel levels are comparatively less when compared to implants and OCs. And these are very effective when compared to copper IUD. That's why it has come under third generation, isn't it? And this is also an effective as sterilization. But the advantage is here is, unlike sterilization, it is easily reversible. See, it is as effective as sterilization, Mirena, and acts mainly by local progesteronal effects and acts for up to 5 years. So, Mirena, if they ask me, it's a T-shaped structure surrounded by a reservoir which contains the levonorgestrel, and this levonorgestrel is about 52 milligrams in the Mirena. So, it releases about 20 micrograms per day. Its lifespan is about 5 years. It is as effective as sterilization, but here it is reversible. Okay. And see, these are the newer IUCDs. These are Gynefix. There is no frame here. Okay. This is Fibroplant, which contains the levonorgestrel. Here it is copper. See, you can see the copper color. Gynefix is nothing but frameless IUCD. Fibroplant contains levonorgestrel. For undergraduates, this much will be enough if you remember these two things. So how we are going to select the case? How we are going to select the case? First thing is, the patient should be at low risk of STDs. So they should have monogamous relationship, multiparous women, and who desires of long-term reversible contraception. They want to have a long term, but they doesn't want to undergo permanent sterilization. So these are the cases where we'll give for copper-T or IUCDs. And who are breastfeeding, who prefer a method that does not require supervision or action before sexual intercourse. So these are the selection of the patients. Means not only selection of the patient, we have to select the type of IUCD is also very important. Okay. See, low risk for STDs. They should be multiparous women. Monogamous relationship is very important. Otherwise, they will land up in pelvic inflammatory disease. And these people should have long-term reversible contraception who desires, but they doesn't want to undergo permanent sterilization, and who are breastfeeding, and who doesn't want to be under supervision or action before sexual intercourse. Okay, these are the cases where we have to select. And what is the action of these IUCDs? See, whenever the IUCD is there, the presence of foreign body in the uterus, it's a foreign body, isn't it? It in the uterus renders it prevents the migration of spermatozoa upwards. Okay, so the migration of the spermatozoa will be difficult due to the presence of a foreign body in the uterine cavity. Number two, a foreign body, what will happen? It causes uterine contractions. It stimulates uterine contractions by releasing prostaglandins. So whenever there is increased uterine contraction, there will be increased tubal peristalsis, isn't it? Once the tubal peristalsis is there, the fertilized egg, which is present in the tube, it usually comes down more rapidly than normal. So it reaches the uterine cavity before it develops chorionic villi. And this chorionic villi is the anchoring, isn't it? So they are unable to implant. So what will happen again? I am telling, this foreign body, what does it do? It provokes the uterine contractions. So whatever the egg, fertilized egg which is present in the fallopian tube, they descend down rapidly than normal before this egg develops chorionic villi. This chorionic villi, as the chorionic villi is not there, the egg is unable to implant. Number 3, the disease in situ causes some reaction, leukocytic infiltration of the endometrium. So what will happen? The macrophages that are deliberated due to this leukocytic infiltration, they engulf both the fertilized ovum and also the spermatozoa. Okay, so because of leukocytic infiltration, the macrophages which are released, they engulf the fertilized ovum as well as the spermatozoa. Number 4, the copper containing IUCDs, they also cause enzymatic and metabolic changes in the endometrium, and they prevent implantation. And these changes are not suitable for implantation. Number 5, progesterone devices causes extra alteration in the cervical mucus. You already know they prevent the cervical sperm penetration by its local action, and it also causes endometrial atrophy. So these are the 5 causes you should remember. Presence of foreign body will prevent the ascent of spermatozoa, number 1. So number 2 is because of its uterine contractions, the fertilized egg will come down than normal time. So before it develops the chorionic villi. Number 3, it causes macrophages which are liberated due to the leukocytic infiltration. They engulf the fertilized ovum as well as sperms. Copper T IUCDs, what they does, sir? Because of copper causes enzymatic and metabolic changes in the endometrium which are not suitable for implantation. And progesterone IUCDs, they cause alteration in the cervical mucus and endometrial atrophy. This is the mode of action. So what are the indications? To whom we have to, what are the it is not only the contraceptive, these IUCDs, we can also use for non-contraceptive methods also. So what are these as a contraceptive we can use? Last class I told you post-coital contraception also we can use. This is the gold standard method for prevention of post-coital pregnancy. Emergency contraception we can use it. And non-contraceptive advantages are we can use in whenever there is intrauterine procedures such as adenosinolysis or septal resection. To prevent the Asherman syndrome, we can use this IUCDs. Okay. Number 4, hormonal Mirena can be used in menorrhagia. The patient who are suffering from menorrhagia, dysmenorrhea, premenstrual tension also we can use. And HRT as an HRT in menopausal women. And the patients who are on breast cancer who are on tamoxifen, so endometrial hyperplasia will be present in these cases. We can use Mirena also. And see non-contraceptive benefits of menorrhagia, dysmenorrhea, premenstrual tension. Already I told you. Endometrial hyperplasia I told you. And remaining diseases such as adenomyosis, endometriosis, uterine leiomyomas, endometrial cancer as an alternative to hysterectomy and hormonal replacement therapy. These are the non-contraceptive benefits apart from contraception and postcoital contraception. Okay. And okay, what are the cases we are selected and what are the contraindications? Before selection of the cases, we should know the contraindications. What are those contraindications? Presence of any pelvic infection at present or within 3 months of the day. Okay. Then undiagnosed genital tract bleeding. Any undiagnosed genital tract bleeding, we are not supposed to put IUCDs. When you are suspecting a pregnancy and there is any distortion in the uterine cavity, then also you are not supposed to give because the perforation and expulsion rate will be more. Whenever there is severe dysmenorrhea and any past history of ectopic pregnancy, we are not supposed to give IUCD. And within 6 weeks following cesarean section, and in Wilson's disease, copper, especially for copper, Wilson's disease and copper allergy, we are not supposed to give. And levonorgestrel IUCDs, the contraindications are hepatic tumor, current breast disease, and severe arterial disease. So these are the contraindications. Till now, are you clear? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. See, copper T, nothing T-shaped object. Generations you have to know. First generation, second, third, and fourth. Okay. Then copper T numbers you can write. Copper T 200, 200A, 380, multi-load. Okay. Then levonorgestrel. That is Marina. And how much will be present in the Marina? 52 milligrams. 20 will be the micrograms will be the per day. It will release up to 5 years. That is important. Then newer ones are Gynifix, which contains copper, Fibroplant, which contains levonorgestrel. Okay, that much will be enough. To whom we have to select? They shouldn't have any STD diseases, low risk for STDs, monogamous relationship, who wants longer contraception, breastfeeding, and who prefer a method which does not require any supervision. Because once we put into the patient uterus, up to 3 years or 5 years, we need not worry. Okay. Mode of action is important. Mode of action, already I told you, these 5 points you have to write. Then what are the indications apart from what are the non-contraceptive benefits and contraceptive benefits? Contraception are as a contraceptive long-term or postcoital contraception. And non-contraceptive benefits are we can use in menorrhagia, dysmenorrhea, premenstrual tensions, any endometrial hyperplasia, adenomyosis, endometriosis. These are all cases we can use Marina, isn't it? Fibroids, endometrial cancer as alternative to hysterectomy and hormone replacement therapy. These are the non-contraceptive benefits of third generation IUDs. They will ask you this also in exam. This is a Viva OC also they will ask you. Then what are the contraindications? Indications already you know, low risk for STDs, monogamous and etc. Contraindications are present 12-week infection or within 3 months also if she had any infection, we are not supposed to put IUCD. Any undiagnosed genital tract bleeding and suspected pregnancy, we are not supposed to keep. Any distorted uterine cavity, severe dysmenorrhea, past history of ectopic pregnancy also we are not supposed to put, because with IUCD there are more chances for ectopic pregnancy. Usually with IUCDs, they will give protection for the intrauterine pregnancy, but not the ectopic pregnancy. But third generation IUCDs, they have a role up to 30%, they can prevent even ectopic pregnancy also. For copper containing IUCDs, specifically Wilson's disease and any copper allergy we are not supposed to give. And in patients with significant immunosuppression, trophoblastic disease, we are not supposed to. This is also a contraindication. In levonorgestrel, current breast disease, hepatic tumor, or severe arterial disease also are not. These are contraindications. I think till now you are clear. Then when to admit. So timing of insertion is important. When you want to keep, preferably to insert 2 to 3 days after the period is over, or even at the time of menstruation also we can keep, because the cervical canal will be open, distended uterine cavity will be present, and the cramps are also very less. During lactational amenorrhea, it can be inserted at any time. Otherwise, in interval sterilization, preferably after a period or 4th day or 5th day of the period, that is the ideal time. If it is post-abortal, same day of the abortion, we can insert. In postpartum or post-placental delivery also, after placenta delivery also, during cesarean section also, we can introduce, but the chances of expulsion will be more when compared to interval sterilization. That is after 6 weeks of puerperium, isn't it? Then the uterus will come to near normal size, isn't it? Then it will be chances, the less chances for the expulsion. So interval, preferably 2 to 3 days after the period. In lactational amenorrhea, anytime. Post-abortal on the day of abortion, or postpartum and post-placental delivery, we can put, but the chances of expulsion will be more. And before going to the how to put, we should know the parts of the, see, go to this slide, ma. 3 or 4 slides before. So can you see this slide? And this is the plunger. This first one is plunger. This is the inserter. This is the knob. which we have to adjust according to the uterocervical length. If the uterocervical length is this much, the knob will be here. If the uterocervical length is more, the knob should be pushed downwards and we have to adjust. So usually packed IUCDs, they will be like this, freely they will give like this, which these horizontal stems we have to insert into the inserter like this. See, we have to fold them, we have to keep in the inserter. Okay, then only we should introduce. Can you understand? This is the plunger, this is the inserter, this is the adjusting knob, which to be adjusted according to the uterocervical length. Okay, usually freely outside how it will be, the horizontal limbs will be like this. These limbs we have to insert into the inserter before introducing into the cervix. Okay, this you much this you can, I think you can understand this. We'll go back now. And methods of insertion. How most previously they used to introduce by pushing method. Now the commonest method we are using is withdrawal technique. Okay, withdrawal technique, the chances of perforation are very much less. So that's why we are using, whenever the examiner asks you in the exam what is the technique you use, means withdrawal technique you should tell. Okay, how you are going to insert? First thing is you should take the history of the patient, because we have to eliminate the contraindicated diseases, isn't it? So history taking and examination are very much important. Consent is important, and it can be done at the outpatient procedure. That is in OPs we can do. Okay, we should ask the patient to empty the bladder. If she is, usually with no anesthesia is required, but if the patient is very apprehensive, we can give Brufen tablets at least half an hour before the introduction of the IUCD. We should keep the patient in lithotomy position, and we should know the size, uterine size and position by pelvic examination. Uterus is anteverted or retroverted, and size of the uterus we should assess by pelvic examination. Then vagina and cervix to be cleaned by antiseptic lotion. Then you introduce your posterior vaginal speculum, and anterior lip of the cervix should be held by Alice forceps. Then with the uterine sound you have to take, and we have to introduce into the cervical canal. Then you should measure the uterocervical length. The appropriate length of inserter is adjusted with the knob, I told you, no? Then the inserter with the device placed is then introduced through the cervical canal right up to the fundus, and after positioning it is by a gauze. Inserter is withdrawn, keeping plunger in position. Device is not pushed out of the tube. Excess of nylon thread is cut 2 to 3 centimeters from external arse. So we'll go to the diagram now. See, this is the plunger, this is the inserter with a knob. We got the IUCD. We just introduced the horizontal stems into the inserter now. Now what you have done? Slowly we are introducing into the uterine cavity through the cervix up to the level of fundus. Then what you have to do? You should stabilize the plunger. We are not supposed to pull this plunger. We have to withdraw this inserter. See, this is the inserter, isn't it? We have to pull this inserter, not we have to steady the plunger, and we have to withdraw this inserter. So that what will happen? These limbs which are folded here, they will come out and they will attach it to the fundus of the uterus. And the nylon threads which are present, I already told you, two nylon threads will be present, which will be present in the vagina. We can cut according to the length of the vagina. Okay, a little bit we can keep outside the cervix and we can cut it off. Okay, this is the withdrawal technique. We have to hold the plunger steadily, and with the inserter we have to withdraw this inserter downwards. That is the method of insertion. We'll go back. And this is Marina. See, Marina will come like this. It contains a reservoir, I told you, no? This is the handle, mark slider. Threads will be present here. And this is the flank. This is the mark calibration in centimeters will be present. These are the arms. The procedure will keep in the video later. Okay. And no touch insertion techniques are also available. Instead of Instead of keeping these stems inside the inserter, we are getting preloaded like this only. We are getting preloaded things. So no need to touch these limbs. Directly we can introduce into the cervical canal. That is no touch technique. Okay, like this it will be already preloaded and we can introduce directly. So next what we have to tell, we have to advise the patient. So whenever she go in between, she has to palpate the threads of the IUCD, especially after the period, especially after the first 1 or 2 cycles. Okay, usually the chances of expulsion in the first cycle will be present. Sometimes they may come that they are missing their threads. Okay, what are the causes? The thread may not be visible through the cervical canal. What are the causes? Number 1, the thread may be coiled inside. Number 1, or thread may be torn off, maybe thread torn off, or sometimes the device expelled out, which is unnoticed by the patient. And number 4 is the device might have perforated the uterine wall and it might be in the peritoneal cavity, or device pulled up by the growing uterus in pregnancy. Pregnancy may be associated with IUCD also. Okay, there are chances for failure, isn't it? Pregnancy can also be present because of the increase in intrauterine growth. The device is pulled up and the threads are not felt. So you should remember these things. So whenever the patient comes, I am missing my threads or I am not able to feel my threads, always think of these things. Maybe thread might have coiled inside. Maybe it has torn off. It is very rare because they are made up of plastic. They are not made up of thread. And device may have expelled out. This you should think of. Perforation is most chances. And pregnancy is the last resort. So commonly it might have expelled out or perforated, or device might have pulled out, built up by growing uterus. These are the 5 things which we have to remember whenever the patient complains of missing threads. And how you will identify whether the patient has missed it, and we have to see for with the sound whether we can feel any IUCD inside the uterine cavity, or we can go for the X-ray or histoscopy. Directly we can visualize, or by ultrasonography. So sounding, ultrasonography, X-ray and histoscopy are the methods for the helping hands for the identification of missing threads, isn't it? And sometimes the patient will come. Kindly remove when what are some indications will be present where we have to remove the IUCD before our time. See, usually copper T will have 3 years, 4 years, multi-load will have 5 years. But sometimes the patient will develop some problems where we have to remove our IUCD. So what are the indications for those removal? These are, if she had excessive regular or irregular uterine bleeding, she will have intermenstrual bleeding or sometimes regular heavy bleeding, then we have to remove. Usually this is mostly common with copper, and usually they will be reduced with 3rd generation IUCD, that is Mirena. And whenever there is flaring up of salpingitis, pelvic pain, PID, then any perforation of the, when you're suspecting any perforation, or when IUCD has come out of its place, it is not attached to the fundus and it is lying in the uterine cavity, then we have to remove. Pregnancy occurring in device in situ, then also we have to remove the IUCD. See what will happen when the pregnancy occurs. What are the problems we will encounter when the device is in situ? The problems we encounter are abortions. She may go into abortion or preterm labor, or they can be sepsis and low birth weight baby. These are the 4 things we have to keep in mind, and we have to counsel the patient. If you can see the IUCD tail or if you can feel it, better to remove as soon as the pregnancy is confirmed. But if it is not able to remove, we should explain these complications to the patient. Then the IUCD will be removed as soon as the delivery, at the time of delivery. Okay. And the patient who desires of baby, any missing thread, I already told you, 1 year after menopause, when effective lifespan of device is over, and IUD removal is simple and it can be done at any time. It is simply done by pulling the strings gently with a forceps. Okay, what are the indications for removal? Excessive, regular or irregular bleeding, any salpingitis flaring up, perforation, IUCD not in place, missing threads, and pregnancy occurring with IUCD. Who wants pregnancy? And 1 year after menopause, and the effective lifespan of device is over. These are the indications for the removal of IUCD. And simply we can remove by holding the threads with forceps. See, not only the forceps, it is not removed. Sorry, the slides are upside down, a little bit difficult for you, but please hold on. When for removal, we can use blunt hook or uterine curette we can use, or hysteroscopically directly we can remove by direct vision or artery forces. How we have to remove this IUCD? By IUCD hook. Number 2, uterine curette by curette, whatever the curette we use for DNC. Artery forceps also we can remove, and hysteroscopically under direct vision. And if the IUCD is perforated, if it is in the abdominal cavity, we can go for laparotomy or laparoscopy. Okay. Why? What are the advantages? Why we want to give IUCD? It is not coital independent. It is coital independent. It is not doesn't involve in at the coitus. Once inserted means it is continuous long time period protection will be present. It is cost effective, and not only that, the failure rate is very less, and the patient will conceive within 6 months of the removal, 75%, and 90% will conceive within 1 year. So, and no systemic side effects unlike OCs, and no adverse effect on lactation. So the milk production or secretion is not impaired. So what are the advantages? Are it is not coital, it is coital independent. Once inserted, it is gives long-term protection, cost effective, failure rate is less, the fertility rate will be returned back within 6 months in 75%, and there are no side effects like systemic side effects like nausea, vomiting, unlike OCs. And even the in lactation period, we can give these IUCDs. And what are the disadvantages, sir? It has to be put under by medical or paramedical personnel who are trained. And certain complications will occur because of this previous first and second generation IUCDs like severe dysmenorrhea, menstrual irregularities, and pelvic pain. These things which are usually will come down with third generation IUCDs. And complications. Once okay, we are inserted. What are the complications we will expect in these patients? Cramp-like pain. Immediate problem we will come across a cramp-like pain. Sometimes very delicate patient, they can syncopal attack. And partial or complete perforation. Usually partial perforation can occur, and after that with increasing uterine contraction, it can become complete perforation. So what will happen with the IUCDs in the abdominal cavity? If it is a Lippis loop, what will happen? Nothing will happen, because it is an inner IUCD, but as the patient is very conscious about that something is or laparotomy, there are more reaction will be present because of copper. There are more chances for adhesions. That's why we have to remove immediately. For Lippis loop, nothing will be happened, but for copper, we have to remove immediately by laparoscopy or laparoscopy. These are the immediate complications we'll come across. The remote complication, slow lower abdominal pain they can have. Abnormal menstrual bleeding, such as intermenstrual bleeding or heavy bleeding, will be present for the few cycles in the beginning, and there are more chances for PID. And one thing you always remember here, it is not mentioned, ectopic pregnancy chances are also more when the patient is using IUCD, as up to second generation. Third generation, even the 30%, they can prevent ectopic pregnancy. and spontaneous expulsion will be present in 5% of cases. Perforation in the 1 in 1,000 insertions, and they can also have pain, AUB, PID are the principal factors related to its discontinuation. So pain, syncopal attack, partial complete perforation are immediate complications. Remote or pain, abnormal menstrual bleeding, PID, expulsion and perforation. These are the remote complications we'll come across. Have you understood? అర్థమైందమ్మా?
Yes, ma'am.
మాట్లాడన్నారా?
Yes, ma'am.
ఏమర్థం కాదు? సింపుల్ కదా IUCD. Generations we can write. అవునా? Method we can write. Selection of the patient. Contraindications you should remember. Indications, contraindications, isn't it? Then what are the benefits? As a contraceptive, postcoital contraceptive, and we have to tell about the non-contraceptive benefits of IUCD when we have to insert next, isn't it? Eppadu insert cheyali. Then methods of insertion is lithotomy position, consent, and by withdrawal method. What are the components of IUCD? Common ones are plunger, inserter, isn't it? By withdrawal method, we have to insert. Other methods are no touch technique also nowadays we are using. Already preloaded it will come. This is the diagram which we have to remember. Then what are the things with missing IU3D is important. Sometimes the patient can come telling that the IUCD is not felt, the threats are not felt. Then these are the 5 things which you have to remember. And how can we can identify confirmation of our diagnosis is by ultrasound, histoscopy, sounding and X-ray. X-ray means opaque items will be opaque, isn't it? Because of presence of barium. So we can see by X-ray also. And sometimes the patient will develop some symptoms where we have to remove the IUCD. What are the indications for removal? Are these 6 things we have to remember. Okay. What are the advantages? You already know. Disadvantages, paramedical, and some certain complications can arise when up to 2nd generation IUCDs. Complications, immediate complications, remote complications. This much if you write, more than enough. Okay na? Thank you, Amma. ఎలా చదువుతున్నారు అందరూ? 28 నా ఎగ్జామ్ మీకు?
Yes, ma'am.
బాగా ప్రిపేర్ అవుతున్నారా? ఆల్రెడీ మేల్ అండ్ ఫీమేల్ స్టెరిలైజేషన్ అయిపోయినట్టుందమ్మా మీకు? రండి. మేల్ అండ్ ఫీమేల్ స్టెరిలైజేషన్ అయిపోయింది కదమ్మా. ఇంకా అందుకని ఇప్పుడు ఇంకా మీకు మిగిలింది బ్యారియర్ మెథడ్స్. ఐ థింక్ యూ కెన్ రీడ్ దట్ బికాస్ ఐ డెంట్ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ క్లాస్ నెక్స్ట్ ఫర్ యూ. అదొక్కటి మీరు చదువుకోండి. మిగతా అయిపోయినాయి కదా, ఓసీస్, ఇంజెక్టబుల్స్, ఇంప్లాంట్స్, IUCD, మేల్ అండ్ ఫీమేల్ స్టెరిలైజేషన్. కాంట్రసెప్షన్ లో కంపల్సరీ ఒక క్వశ్చన్ ఉంటుందిరా మీకు, షార్ట్ ఆన్సర్ ఎగ్జామ్ లో. ఓకేనా? థ్యాంక్ యూ. ఓకేనమ్మా.